In the early 20th century, the Hudson River was both a lifeline and a barrier. It connected commerce, industry, and immigration, yet it separated opportunity. On one side stood the towering skyline of New York City. On the other side, the growing communities of New Jersey were expanding rapidly. Ferries carried passengers and vehicles back and forth, but as automobiles became more common in the 1920s, those ferries became overwhelmed. Long lines of cars waited for hours just to cross. Business leaders worried that economic growth would stall if a permanent solution was not built. At that time, the idea of building a massive suspension bridge across the Hudson River seemed almost impossible. The river at that point was wide and deep. Ships carrying cargo needed clear passage. The engineering challenge was enormous, but progress in bridge design during the late 19th and early 20th centuries had opened new possibilities. Visionary planners believed that a fixed crossing could not only solve traffic congestion, but reshape the entire region's future. The project gained serious momentum under the leadership of the Port Authority, later known as the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. This state agency had the power to coordinate infrastructure between the two states. Funding plans were developed, land was acquired, and engineers were hired. Among them was a Swiss-born engineer whose name would become forever linked with the project, Othmar Ammann. Ammann believed in efficiency and elegance. Unlike earlier bridge builders who relied on extremely heavy designs, he supported lighter, flexible suspension systems. He understood that flexibility could be strength. His vision was bold, a bridge with a main span of 500 feet, longer than any suspension bridge ever built at that time. Many doubted whether such a span could withstand wind pressure and heavy traffic. Ammann was confident that modern steel cable technology made it possible. Construction began in 1927. Massive anchorages were built on both sides of the river to secure the suspension cables. Workers erected enormous steel towers that would eventually rise 6 to 4 feet above the water. Each tower required thousands of tons of steel. Ironworkers balanced high above the river with limited safety equipment, performing dangerous tasks in all weather conditions. The work was physically demanding and risky, yet it provided steady employment for thousands of laborers. Then, in 1929, disaster struck the American economy. The stock market crashed, triggering the Great Depression. Across the country, construction projects were halted, businesses collapsed, unemployment soared. But remarkably, work on the bridge continued. Financing had already been arranged, and officials recognized the bridge as critical infrastructure. For many workers, the project became a source of survival during desperate times. Families depended on those wages. As the towers rose higher, giant cables were spun across the river. These cables were not single pieces of metal, but bundles of thousands of individual steel wires bound tightly together. The spinning process required extraordinary precision. Engineers monitored tension constantly to ensure balance. When complete, the cables were strong enough to support immense weight, vehicles, roadway decks, wind loads, and temperature changes. The original plan called for the steel towers to be encased in decorative granite stone. However, the economic realities of the Depression forced budget reductions. The decorative cladding was removed from the plan, leaving the steel skeleton exposed. Some critics initially believed the bridge looked unfinished. Yet over time, the exposed framework became its defining visual identity. The clean, industrial lines symbolized modern engineering confidence. On October 24, 1931, the bridge officially opened to the public. It was named after George Washington, honoring the first president of the United States. Crowds gathered to witness the historic event. Newspapers praised the bridge as a marvel of engineering. At that moment, it held the world record for the longest suspension bridge span. For a nation struggling economically, the bridge represented strength, ambition, and forward movement. In its first year, millions of vehicles crossed the new structure. The original toll was 50 cents per car. Drivers marveled at the smooth ride high above the Hudson River. Travel time between Manhattan and New Jersey was dramatically reduced. Commerce accelerated. Businesses expanded into northern New Jersey, knowing employees and goods could move efficiently. After World War II, suburbanization reshaped American life. Returning veterans purchased homes outside city centers. Car ownership skyrocketed. Traffic on the bridge increased far beyond original expectations. By the 1950s, congestion was becoming a serious issue again. Engineers studied expansion options carefully. Strength tests showed the original design had been built with enough capacity to support additional weight. In 1962, a lower level was added beneath the original deck. This second deck effectively doubled capacity from 6 lanes to 14 lanes. The lower level earned the nickname Martha. Adding an entirely new roadway beneath an operating suspension bridge was a rare and complex engineering achievement. It demonstrated the foresight of a man's original design, which had anticipated future growth. As decades passed, the bridge continued to evolve. Lighting systems were modernized. Structural reinforcements were added. Steel components were repainted and protected from corrosion. Engineers implemented advanced monitoring systems to measure vibration, stress, and temperature changes. Continuous maintenance ensured that despite constant heavy traffic, the structure remained safe. The bridge also became deeply embedded in popular culture. Its towering steel silhouette appeared in films, television shows, and photographs representing New York. For many immigrants arriving in the region, crossing the bridge symbolized a new beginning. For daily commuters, it became part of routine life. For tourists, it offered breathtaking views of the skyline and river below. Security concerns increased dramatically after the events of September 11, 2001. As a critical transportation link between two major states, the bridge required enhanced protection. Surveillance systems were upgraded, patrol presence increased. Emergency preparedness plans were strengthened. The bridge was recognized not only as infrastructure but as a strategic asset. By the early 21st century, the George Washington Bridge was carrying more than 100 million vehicles annually, making it one of the busiest motor vehicle bridges in the world. Heavy trucks, passenger cars, buses, and motorcycles cross daily. Despite being built in the early 1930s, it continues to function as a vital artery of the Northeast Corridor. Its economic impact cannot be overstated. Entire communities in New Jersey expanded because residents could commute efficiently to jobs in Manhattan. Commercial distribution networks depend on the crossing. Billions of dollars in trade pass over the bridge every year. Without it, regional transportation patterns would look entirely different. From an engineering perspective, the bridge remains a masterpiece of suspension design. The main cables, each containing thousands of wires, are anchored in massive concrete blocks embedded deep into the ground. The towers transfer load into bedrock beneath the riverbanks. The flexible deck moves slightly in high winds, absorbing energy rather than resisting it rigidly. This flexibility has allowed the bridge to survive storms, temperature extremes, and decades of vibration. As it approaches its centennial anniversary, the George Washington Bridge stands as a reminder of what determined planning and bold engineering can accomplish. It was built during economic collapse, yet it became a symbol of resilience. It was criticized for its unfinished appearance, yet it became iconic. It was designed for far fewer cars, yet it adapted and expanded. Nearly a century after opening, it continues to carry the weight of millions, physically and symbolically. Steel cables stretched across the Hudson River did more than connect two shores. They connected opportunity, growth, and ambition. In times of uncertainty, it proved that progress could rise above hardship. The George Washington Bridge is not simply a structure of steel and concrete. It is a living piece of history, a transportation lifeline, and a monument to human ingenuity that still stands strong above the Hudson River today.